So you said you wanted to talk about overcoming adversity.
Right. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back.
Is he
Okay.
centered?
I'm pretty centered. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
you look good.
Yeah, that looks right. Okay. There we go.
How was your week, Chris?
It was good. Had a pretty good week, not really too eventful, but yeah, it was good. No complaints.
Did you do anything fun? You watch anything good on TV?
What did I watch? I watched a show from a couple years ago, The Night Manager. It's
That's
like
good.
an intelligence thing about an arms dealer. Hugh Laurie plays the arms dealer. It's pretty interesting. It was good. It's like a 6-part miniseries.
I enjoyed that. How do you feel about the baseball season? I mean,
The baseball season. Well,
what do you think about baseball, like sports coming back?
I mean, they're going to come back. Baseball, they are going to come back. It's probably going to be about 100 games, I think. It's going to be a little different. The divisions are going to be like geographically based, but I mean, honestly, the season is too long. I think 162 games. It's just too many. Honestly, it's just too much to watch. I think 120, which is what they used to do, is better. So I'm not too bummed that it's less games, but it's just that it's starting later, because for me, it's like the sign of making it through the winter. That summer's on its way. It's like just it's what I'm used to. Opening day just seems like that's when it's really officially spring, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm a bit bummed that it's gonna take a while, but I'll be fine. It's when you really look at it, it's pretty trivial. I think we're all okay without it. It's just a nice thing to do, and I do miss baseball. So it'll come back.
Did you make it to any games last year?
I made it to a couple games. Just
Nice.
a few, not many, but I think I made it to a couple games. Yeah.
At the White Sox Stadium.
Yeah. It is guaranteed rate field. So
Guaranteed what?
name changes. But I'll just read it. Let's call it Sox Park, because it changes names. And Miller Park in Milwaukee, that changed names too. They have a new sponsor. That'll always be Miller Park, as far as I'm concerned. It's like you have Miller Brewing in your city. It goes with baseball, but I guess Miller didn't want to pay for it. I don't know.
I remember how mad you got when it changed from Comiskey to U.S. Cellular back in college.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a dumb name. But I've come to realize, pick a name that works. Stick with it, just kind of call it that. And for this corporate sponsorship, it's here to stay. So we just have to deal with it, I guess.
So you texted me that you wanted to talk today about overcoming adversity. What did you have in mind, broadly speaking, when you told me that?
Well, I can definitely speak myself to overcoming adversity. There are a number of instances. There are ones that stick out. More like, some are medical related. Actually, most of them are medical related, related to having a disability. But I think in general, overcoming adversity is it's a part of being human. It's common to, I think, every person at least overcome some. There's no such thing as just a perfect life that goes as planned and has no problems. But I think there's a certain value to adversity as well. Like I think it just toughens you up, and adversity you go through, generally speaking, makes you more able to deal with other situations, and may also help other people that are going through adversity, and at the very least, empathize with them. At least it does that. And I think it's something that humanizes us. Like every person goes through it one way or another. Every animal does, but they don't really have the consciousness to know what's happening. We do.
Yeah, I appreciate that idea that every single person has trials that they're dealing with.
Oh, absolutely.
Just thinking about adversity, I think the question that comes to my mind is kind of like, what do you perceive as the greatest adversity that, to get specific, that you've
Sure.
had to work through?
Yes. Well, the greatest adversity for me is going to be obviously dealing with muscular dystrophy. I mean, living with a chronic illness where eventually, I will probably lose all my, muscle ability and I'll get weak enough that's very well, that's likely to be my demise. Unless, God, grants a miracle and cures me, or if, science, the medical community comes out with a cure. But basically, it's that. And I mean, there's a couple elements to it. I think, first of all, it's becomes life threatening and life altering to a large extent, but it's more, when I think of that, I look more at how it affects my respiratory system, how it affects my heart. That's really what I look at because, well, that's really the two most important systems in our body, pretty much. And yeah, the circulatory system is very important too. Well, that's directly related to your heart. So there you go. So those are like the two big deal things. I take heart meds. I have a defibrillator slash pacemaker. I have, the ventilator for my lungs to keep them relatively strong, to give me enough, to make sure I have enough oxygen. And there's that part, which is actually like life threatening. And there's the part where I'm in a wheelchair, and that's just different. It's most of our society, it's not geared to behave properly towards, people with disabilities. And, it's, I think it's a societal issue. I don't necessarily blame individuals. It's systematic, societal, however you want to look at it. But it's just like people assume that I'm not having a good life, which is not true. I consider myself blessed and I'm a happy person, pretty positive, and I'm, I go on through and I keep persevering. So I'm pretty happy with other things. I'd like to be better. Well, of course, right? I'd like to be able to get myself out of bed. Absolutely. Would I like things to be able to take less time? Of course. But I'm not going to complain about it. But there's that happens. And I think sometimes too, I think just a belief with, I think it's kind of hard. Actually, it's kind of hard to be a man and be in a wheelchair in that. I think a lot of women think you can't provide for them. But the fact is, I think I'm fairly manly. I try to be relatively masculine. I think I kind of represent a good situation there. And sure, am I physically strong? Well, not in terms of muscle mass, absolutely. But am I good at supporting people? Yeah, I'm good at encouraging people and supporting them. I think I'm pretty positive. Yeah, I always glad for people when good things happen to them, even if it's something that doesn't necessarily benefit me. It's really good, and I don't know. I just feel like, I think as a man, I feel like I am the biblical ideas of being a man are very applicable. I think they are correct. I believe that we should. Well, I mean, a very important thing for men to do is be good fathers. I don't have a child. I'm not married, not any of that. But I think it's very important, and I think that's going to really help men. But basically, not to get that's getting kind of away from me. But I think I do feel like I'm supposed to kind of look after the well-being of others and try to protect innocence. I guess it's not really like they're in a life or death situation per se, but I just feel like I have a duty to help other people. I just feel that. I mean, it's it's not always easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I think that's what makes it worth it. But I feel like people, whether you have a disability or not, you can provide, and adversity generally makes you able to go through different things.
Yeah, I feel like you've always talked about how you've been able to maintain gratitude in the midst of adversity. And
Absolutely.
and I think, anyone who has been through something really hard recognizes the blessings that can come through those situations, and that things they would have
Sure.
missed otherwise.
Right.
What do you what are some of the things that you are the most grateful for that you wouldn't have experienced had you not had this adversity that you have dealt with?
Okay, well, that's an excellent question. I think one thing I've been able to stay humble. I think that's a big benefit. That can be hard to do in life. It's so with all the influences that are being thrown at us, or media and what have you, social media. But yeah, I think that's one of the benefits. Also, I think I've had to actually rely on God more. I've had to trust Him and trust that He'll be there with me and that I'll persevere through things. So I think it's definitely helped me there. Like I'm not the most dedicated guy to my faith. I wish I was more dedicated to Christ and to God, and I wish I did a better job with Bible study, that sort of thing. But the one thing I have no doubt that there's a God and He's helped me through things. And He's definitely gotten me at least a couple times, probably, He's prevented me from saying sayonara to the world. So I definitely know that at least like a few, 2, 3 times maybe, that I'm guaranteeing that I wouldn't be here if there wasn't some sort of intervention. I really feel that way. I think it was divine intervention.
Um,
So let's see. Humility, yeah, I think humility and my, kind of, I think just certainty in God. Like those are probably the two biggest things. That's really what I would highlight anyways. I can't think of anything else. There's probably something, but that might take a while. So
yeah.
yeah,
Were there certain phases in terms of really coming to grips with um, the things you would have to deal with in life? Were there certain moments that were really pivotal, hurdles, when you really had to grapple with? I mean, you just mentioned a couple situations.
sure.
Um, were there specific moments in life where you felt like you really had to make it over one of these mental hurdles?
Absolutely. I can think of probably 2 to 3 big ones. Maybe 3 to 4 even. But I'll throw a couple of them out. I'll start with, well, when I was still walking, so I didn't go to wheelchairs till I was summer of when I was like 11.
Hmm.
What would that be? 93? Yeah, like 93. That was probably when I went. Was it later? I feel like it was 93.
You're quicker at math than I am, so I'll trust you.
Yeah, I was saying 93. Um, Before that, when I was still walking, it was pretty tenuous. It was kind of iffy, going up like even a short amount of stairs, which I really dealt with. Those kind of scary. There were a couple times I fell, I chipped my teeth on one of those occasions. It was just real uneasy, and I thought that was kind of rough. It was rough, I will say that, and it was actually a relief to get into a wheelchair because I didn't have to worry about falling anymore or any of that. It was just kind of, I used to cramp up on my legs. I ended up walking on my toes by the end of the day. It's kind of with muscular dystrophy. So that's the first one I'd go with. I'd see the second one. I might be missing things, but the second one is probably when I got what ended up leading to me getting the trach tube, the tracheostomy, and the pacemaker, all that. That was 2007. Actually, on Memorial Day, I ended up choking on some Italian beef. And yeah, it wasn't good. I went to respiratory arrest. I passed out. I was kind of in and out of it. And then I kind of woke up in the hospital. And it ended up being, let me think, about 2 weeks in the hospital.
Mm,
And four, 2 more weeks, I think, in a rehab facility. And that was life changing. And
yeah.
that was one of the times I feel like God definitely intervened there because I actually, when I passed out, there was a paramedic that was passing by. We were like a mile away from the hospital, less than that. So
Wow.
there's one thing. So, and I think that may have helped, keep me going. And another time was a few years ago. I would say, was it 2017, 2018? One of those years, I ended up getting the flu when one of the years was really bad. So I had my flu shot, which is no guarantee. It just kind of helps. But I ended up getting the flu, and I went septic and got pneumonia. It was not good. We waited like one day too long to get me to the to bring me to the ER slash to the hospital, and that maybe another time that God was really intervening, but that was another rough time. It was really iffy there at first. I mean, when I made it to the night, I guess it was okay. Just it was iffy. Yeah, they got that whole thing being septic under control and all of that. So
Can you remember kind of how you pulled through those times, those last couple times mentally, just being there in that moment?
you know what?
Some of the
It
things
was
you thought about?
wasn't it wasn't fun. I did it, I went. It always seems like you're in the hospital forever. Always seems to take forever. But that first time in 2007, I actually had the really bad issue with my shoulder. I think I ended up being dislocated actually. But so it was painful. But you know what? My parents were to switch off between staying overnight and were to be there during the day. I had good. The nurses and doctors were pretty good. They knew what they were doing. Within their capacity, they did great from what I could tell. Actually, the one a few years ago when I was septic, that was actually at a hospital. I'm not really in that system. It's the closest hospital, and we always thought they were kind of iffy sometimes. But I have to say they did an excellent job. But I think it's between the support network of my family, a couple close family friends, and God. That's what got me through. That's really the deal. Without my support network or God, it would be like can't have one and not the other. I needed them both, and that really got me through. And my parents have always been very active in trying to keep me, in good shape and try to take care of me. And we always try to do what we can as far as knowledge, and we try to be pretty innovative. And my mom has a knack of just getting me comfortable in various positions. She's really, I mean, she was a nurse, so she went to school for it. So, but she
Right.
just has a
Got
knack.
that.
Yeah, she has a really good knack for that. And I don't know, they just do whatever it takes to provide for me, and it really helped. It really helps. I don't know. I mean, people that they go there and they have a disability like I have, and they have to have someone else take care of them who's not familiar with it. Man, it's not cool. It's hard to trust people when
Yeah.
you have to rely on them for everything. It's like, are they going to do it right? Am I going to be okay? What's going to happen when it's uncertain? But I think it's a matter of just finding what gives you support, what gives you strength, and just persevering. So, Mary, you have to keep going. It's not going to be perfect. I think the more you deal with adversity, the more you realize it's a part of life, or at least a part of your life.
What would you say, what kind of advice would you give to a young person with muscular dystrophy who might be thinking about going off to college, but is understandably really nervous and just, about taking such a huge leap?
Well, I can do that. Yeah, there's a couple things that come to mind. First of all, it's just don't be afraid to ask for help. There might be some people who aren't necessarily helpful, but there's going to be someone, typically, I think, who will help you, or at least they will try. They'll make an effort. It's very important to ask for help. To, do research. Check, are there any accounts that people have of going through that same situation? Do you know anyone? That's always there's resources. If you can't find it through the Muscular Dystrophy Association, so it's going to be difficult. There's different Center for Independent Living. That's what they have in Illinois. They have similar things like every state out there. They have resources. I would say it can usually be done. For some people, they might not be able to go far away for college, but they can still at least go maybe they can't go away like I did. That's great if you can. Have a good support network and you do enough research. It's definitely possible. I think it's key. Try to develop a support network. Um, See if there's something that encourages you. If it's faith, I think that's the best situation, especially Christianity, but find something that gives you at least stability, that gives you encouragement, and use that as much as you need to. Besides that, it depends on each individual, but I think it's doable, and it's definitely worth checking out every option until you know what makes the most sense.
What about advice for a young person dealing with more emotional, social adversity? Maybe someone who underestimates them, or thinks something incorrect about them because of their disability.
Oh, about you mean for the people that don't have the right perception? Or the person with
Yeah,
the disability?
well, advice for how to overcome people's incorrect perceptions. Let's say
Oh,
a young person is at college and they're getting responses from people, just people sort of misunderstanding them or judging them based off of outward appearance.
yeah. Well, the best thing, and this is still hard for me, even today, is don't be afraid of people and don't be afraid of rejection. It's inevitable and some you have to deal with a fair amount, even with disability, but there's always people who are willing to help. It's also important to ask people if they have a question. You can be there's a way to do that. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. If someone does offer you help, take it. Or if you don't want to take it, just be nice about it. Okay, I've got it. And that's cool.
Can you think of a
But
specific situation, Chris, where you've had to kind of take the bull by the horns and address a situation?
hmm, that's a good question. I think I've done it a number of times where it's hard for me to even think of a particular instance. Hmm,
Like
it
if
is.
has someone ever been rude or just really kind of misunderstood you, been presumptive?
I mean, I can talk about, there are instances when people will come and talk to me a little slow and they'll act like maybe there's something wrong with me mentally.
Yeah.
There isn't. It's the fact is people are jerks. It's
now
people
we're
are
getting
jerks,
now we're getting right down to it. All right, people are jerks.
but they're ignorant. They're ignorant. That which it's not always their fault. I think they don't have interaction with people with disabilities. They don't really know much about that. If you could just be intelligent as much as possible, be kind to them. I think that's one thing that always goes a long way. They say, people that you had that may are doing things wrong or that maybe, whether it's intentional or not, the whole adage to kill them with kindness, that's true. That actually works. That overcomes a lot. It's not like, don't look at it as a you versus the world mentality. Look at you versus adversity. And then also, I think there is a bit of responsibility we have to educate others about our own plight, especially if it's a bit unique. I think that's part of the human experience as well, is getting over ignorance and people try to learn, also trying to educate them, but in a useful, productive way. It's never useful to respond to someone who's kind of rude or ignorant by being rude or ignorant yourself. There's just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because that gets you down. That gets you in a bad mood. I just keep going, be kind to people. That's really the two things that I can really think of that matter.
Yeah, yeah. I know every situation's different, and
Yeah,
hopefully over time people become more understanding in your
sure.
life. And I know there were some times in college when you know my mom has a saying. Well, my mom likes to say, all it takes is not thinking to be thoughtless. Oftentimes people simply, by not using their heads,
Sure.
they end up being mean. And
True.
you can be mean just by not thinking. Um,
That's true.
and just because you weren't intentional doesn't mean that you weren't rude, right? So
Well, that's true.
and
Absolutely. That
I,
rudeness is not necessarily, you don't have to have knowledge to be rude. It's, yeah, the lack of knowledge can very much make you
yeah,
rude.
yeah, I can remember times when people just kind of, like, if we were at a baseball game and someone kind of crowded you out or something, and
Right.
they sort of acted like they didn't see, but
Yes, the invisibility factor. That's very much an issue for
yeah.
people with disabilities. Yes.
When we were in college, you did some advocacy work.
Yes.
Have you continued in that vein or thought about that in the recent decade?
I haven't really continued it. If there's opportunities, I would definitely do it, I think. It's it's worth it. I am glad I did it. It's a little frustrating because I think our whole organization, wheels of change, kind of disappeared because there was no one really to carry it on.
Hmm.
There's probably just not a lot of people with physical disability at Northwestern, at least not ones that are like readily willing to advocate. So I think it's both those issues, but occasionally, I think of it about it every now and again, how much better it would be if people had more education on it, or even just the knowledge that, hey, people with disabilities are around, like people do actually need the parking spots, and that they're not just there for nonsensical, legalistic reasons.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to put a face with a different issues and different situations. I think that's what really matters. And if there isn't, it might have to be you. I mean, if there wasn't any advocacy, I wouldn't just sit around and have a miserable life. I try to do something. I still try to get out to places where I could, even if I had to come up with my own solutions. It's certainly not easy. I'm definitely glad that there are people who have paved the way for me, and not necessarily just people with disabilities, but just people who have advocated for civil rights or for just people getting vote, the ability to vote, whatever it may be. They're all they're all useful for different people who may feel disenfranchised or that they're not included, to become more included and to at least get some people, more people on their side.
Yeah. What's your advice? Sometimes when you know someone who's struggling, whether it's going through a life adversity or whether they're just grieving something, sometimes you want to be with them mentally, you want to be with them emotionally, but you don't know what to do. So
Right.
let's say somebody knows you and they want to be your support, and they say, like, yeah, I'm behind you, but just
Sure.
ignorance, they just don't know what to do.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing that could be kind of isolating. Anytime you're going through something and the people around you don't know how to help.
That's true. That
Um,
is definitely isolating.
what are your thoughts what are your thoughts about how to deal with that?
Okay. Well, I think the best thing that people can do to, if they want to help people with, whether it's someone with a disability or someone who's going through something or struggles, is basically ask questions, ask them if they would like help. But I think even maybe before you do that, just do the same thing with them you would with anyone else that you're trying to know. Like, we're the same as everyone else for the most part. We're the same wants, desires, types of thoughts. Just try to befriend us. Just start with small talk. Maybe try to see if if there's something. Say, I have a shirt on that a sports team you like, whether from a city you mayor from that city, or someone is. That's a good way to start. Then after that, you can ask for help, and I think most people are reasonable. Most people going through adversity, and they'll be, I think, fair about it. And if they think they need help, they'll say sure. If they don't, they'll probably be nice about it. Just say, hey, I appreciate it, but I've got it, or don't worry about it. So, something like that. So I
Yeah.
think in different people cope different ways. Some people are more open about their issues, some people aren't. And it's okay either way. Everyone's different, and but even though we're different, we're also all the same.
That's good advice.
Yes,
Um,
I think it is. Yes,
you think it is? It's
I
pretty.
wouldn't say it if I didn't think. I didn't think it was good. I'm a
it's
pretty measured, careful person.
it's pretty brilliant because you said it.
Okay,
Um,
if you say so.
it's only it's only fair to ask you about your mother because tomorrow is Mother's Day, um,
Absolutely.
and she has been, you know, the rock in your life.
Yeah,
As has your dad and your sister. You've got an amazing family,
absolutely. Yes.
but your mom is a real warrior and a wonderful woman. And I
Yes.
wonder, like, I don't know, storytelling time. Can you think of a time when she really went like above and beyond for you? Did something kind of extraordinary?
Just one time? It's hard to pick a one time. I mean, I can pick up a couple. I can think a couple.
All right, Todd, what comes to mind?
Sure. Well, I think dealing with the whole college situation, she really tried hard, tried to make sure I had enough help, that the situation was good for me, that there were people that we could rely on, and that I'd be safe, making sure I had good means of communication, making sure my room's set up good. She really went above and beyond for that. Anytime I've been hospitalized, like she really puts a lot of effort into that and trying to make sure I'm comfortable, make sure I have everything I need, whether it's bringing some stuff from home or having someone in the room with me or making sure I have enough pillows and blankets. It's all important. And man, those are just a few. I just think in general, she really does do that. She really cares a lot about me and what happens, and things I think bother her more than they bother me. But I understand why, and I understand where she's coming from. She does because she cares. It comes down to it. I don't know what I do without her. I have no clue. I guess I'd make it, but it would be different. It would be harder.
It wouldn't be as good. It
No, absolutely not.
wouldn't be as good. I'm sure she was a big. I'll always be thankful to your mother for lots of things, but I'm sure she was a big part of the reason why you were able to come to my wedding in
Oh yeah,
2005. Um,
absolutely.
she pulled the strings and
Yeah.
uh, and made that happen,
Yep.
which I'll never forget.
I tell you, we go on a trip period for a long time. It's not a small undertaking. It's a big deal, and I can't really. I'm not even as able to do those trips so much now. I mean, I could if I really needed to, but I tell you what, between bringing extra things, making sure we have all the necessities I need, a lot of pillows to get to sleep. I have a lot of equipment now with this vent, and I have a I have two vents actually. So I don't know if we bring both. I guess we probably would. But yeah, it's an undertaking, but also probably just she can get me comfortable. She, come up with some of the snacks that I used to, eat on road trips, and really every single part of that whole situation is just it's different. It's hard enough to have a disability and be in your set kind of static location, at least in your house or where you're living, wherever it may be. But yeah, you're going mobile and using hotel rooms and having to modify things. It's very unique. It's a challenge, but in the end, I think it's typically worth it. I was like, it was definitely worth it to go to your wedding. Like that was like a big deal. That would have been cool enough if that would have been all I did that trip, honestly. And yeah, there were other things I did. We went to the Hall of Fame and we were able to watch some playoff games at the same time. There's the year the White Sox won the World Series, so that was cool. But even say they had a terrible year that year, it wouldn't have mattered. It still would have been a really good trip.
Um, you might have noticed I was just moving around, and that's because I
Yeah.
realized that in this room I had a book that had some old photos of you, and so
Oh, okay.
I went and retrieved it,
Okay.
which seems like a fitting close to our video today.
Okay.
Back when I first met you, I was getting to know Laura, and we would send back and forth Polaroid
All right.
pictures. Let's see if
Right.
let's see. I'm going to do my best here. Here's the first one. Can you see,
Okay.
can you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
It's me hiding behind you. Uh,
Okay.
and my caption is, "This is Chris. This is Chris trying to look frightened, and me lurking." This was taken in
Yeah.
Kemper Hall, where Chris lived these last 2 years.
Okay.
And then I had another Polaroid, which was me and you pretending to
Okay.
look surprised at the Matrix.
Ah, okay.
That gives you a sense of the timeline if we were watching the Matrix in the theater.
Yeah, it's probably one of the sequels. Yeah, I did like the second one, I would guess. Second or
we
third one, yeah.
It was 30 minutes prior to showtime, so we were just pretending to be in shock. Um, yeah,
That's funny.
the Evanston
It's a good
Theater
time.
that was a good time. The Evanston Theater.
It was, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Chris, I want to save some for the sequel.
Okay, sounds good.
Always good to hear from you.
Yeah, good.
Hope you have a fantastic weekend.
Okay, you too, all right?
All right, take care.
All right, you too.